The 11th of April 2025, a good day. They're talking about some rain coming, and I got some very much weather dependent work done yesterday on land, and I'm glad to have it done. I can relax a bit now, but I worked very hard while I was getting it done, so it can rain a bit now. So the thing is, there, if you look on the discussions about Trump, is a P. Pennon or something like that. They have these strange usernames. Can you not put in something like Bob Kelly 36 or something? Anyway, that's up to you. But he says that Trump doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't have a clue what he's doing. He said, "Oh, I'm making it up." Certainly, one can argue, and I can't disprove it, that he brought out this shock tactics. Now, remember about Donald Trump. He has only 2 years till the Houses of Congress could swing against him, and he'd be a lame duck. He has 2 years. So he took office in January 2025, and by January 2027, it could be too late. So he has to rush into this. And the tariff business is an example of that. And remember, I've always said, once you shake the tree, the monkeys are up. You don't know what will fall out. Pure bull in china shop, or racking the whole place, often discovers weaknesses in the system that wouldn't be found if there were no what would you call it, bullying, if they call it that, or doing mad things. You understand maybe what I mean? We live in a Europe and in a world without Trump in America, where everything's nicey, everyone's so nice to everyone else. It's like the House of Lords. It's like this and it's like that and it's like the other. And it goes on for years and years, and yet the underlying destruction continues. Whereas with Trump, it's the opposite. Now, the thing about Trump is, he said the countries of the world are now ringing him up and they want to do a deal. They want to kiss my ass, he says. Now, it might not be a very parliamentary language to use for a president of the United States to say that the leaders of all the other countries except China want to kiss his arse. But the one thing about that is, you see, it could have a subliminal message. He wants to prove, and he is proving to me, that he's not owned by anyone. Right? The Jewish sector have a bit of a hold on him with all the money for his campaigns, but it's only limited, and it's hard to keep that rope round him and a halter on him. So by saying things like they want to kiss my arse, he is in effect saying, I'm not owned by anyone. I'm in for 4 years and I'll do what I like. And therefore, he is. The only question then is, does he want to do good? And I have no doubt he wants to do good. He definitely wants to push the agenda that I believe in. So it's all right. Now, of course, yes, the bond markets did rise a bit, and they were getting hard to get money. When the price of the bond goes up, that means the government has to pay more money, and there's less confidence in government. But it's levelled off again. You'll get those spikes. You'll get those spikes in that. And it's that said that got rid of Liz Truss, that the price of borrowed money got too high. I don't know why they just didn't pay for it. Pay it out to hell. If they had to charge €7, 7%, sure, what about it? But then if they lost confidence altogether, you couldn't run your economy, because the modern governments run on lending, on debt. So maybe it scared them a wee bit. They're denying that it did. And it's a 90-day moratorium or delay now on the sanctions. There's a 10% sanction overall. And if I were doing it, I'd have just applied the 10% simple for a while, for a couple of months, and then I'd take it from there. Now, there's no doubt he's challenging China big time. China must be getting a bit worried. And he's also trying to keep in with Putin. Now, the Europeans, they're all set for the next 20 years of mollycoddling, living off America and lying about everything, including their energy and all of that sort of stuff. So I'll be posting a video underneath here from Lord Malcolm Offord, about the renewable energy and net zero tobacco, which Europe is intent on going. Now, Trump knows, if he's that big of a fool, and I know, that net zero is a waste. when you get to the end of it, and whenever year you get there, and we'll all be dead and gone, you discover it was a complete scam. Anyone with half a brain can see net zero is a complete scam. And yet it's been pursued in Britain big time. And this Malcolm Afford, I'll publish it. He has a 7-minute video there explaining and saying exactly what I've been saying to you, the very same as I've been saying to you. So this is the stuff they're pushing on with this baloney. So to say Trump doesn't know what he was doing, he sees through the wind energy scam. He sees through them not mining coal. He sees through the whole thing, whatever about the climate change. They are not going to do anything about it. With China opening a new power station every week, I think it is, and burning coal like there's no tomorrow. And they're liars in Europe. So the thing is, how can we say Trump doesn't know what he's doing? And he's a bully and he's this, that and the other. He has $37 trillion in debt. And Japan was the one that pulled some of the bonds. Japan is $8.5 trillion in debt. And it has invested $1 trillion through its people in American bonds. Doesn't make much sense. But Japan is getting rid of debt. They're not bailing out the Americans anymore. So there's nothing nice or anything about being broke. There is nothing nice. When you're broke, you have to do what you're told. You could be a farmer. You might have to sell off 3 fields. You don't like selling it. They don't come and say, oh, how are you doing? Let's give you a bit of counselling. They tell you, here, put it up. It's going. Whether you like it or whether you don't. And you have to put up with it. A young man might have a great notion of a young lady and he'd hoping to persuade her as his partner. And she says, no, I don't want to see you. He has to put up with it. And she, likewise, if it's the other way around. That's life. So the idea that Donald Trump can be called a bully or an idiot because he's telling them to kiss his arse, it's probably a subliminal message. I remember when I was a policeman years and years ago, the district wouldn't spend its money in a case that'd be an emergency. They were storing up money in the Gardaí for a murder, because if there was a murder, they didn't need the money, that'd be the way it is. So they'd store it up, and then they'd get to December, and I'd want to take it easy over the Christmas, and they'd land to me and tell me, go out there with 4 men, or 4 people, men and women, guards, and solve all them bits of our small crimes. And they'd give us money to do it. And we'd do it all right, but it'd be getting dark in the evening. It was more difficult to investigate than in the summertime. But anyway, we'd bring in some of these bios, and there was no computers or no videos, and we'd accuse them of something outrageous. We'd accuse them of something big. We'd say there was a bank robbery in Tala. I mean, where else would you have a bank robbery? Only in Tala, anyway. I'm only joking. But we said there was a bank robbery somewhere. We'd blame them. You were up and you did that bank robbery. Oh, I did not. And then, you see, you did, I didn't. And you broke into the priest's house as well. Well, I might have done that, but I didn't do the other. Do you know what I mean? That's a kind of reverse psychology. And so my father as well, when we'd be going to buy a tractor, he'd buy an odd tractor and do it up and sell it. Or an odd car, he'd say, don't fault the tractor. He reckoned that some people with a car or a tractor would love their machine. They actually love their own car and tractor. And they thought a lot of it, and they wanted to go to a good home. And if you turned up with £200 and you said it's a lovely tractor, but that's all we have, he might give it to you because he wants it to go to somebody who'd be good to it. And the other, so you get what I mean. Whereas if you go up and say, oh, the arse is falling out of it, the bits falling out of it, it's not going right, there's a bad sound of that engine, he'd say, look, you don't appreciate it, go on, don't bother your head, I'll not sell it to you. So you see the point. So there's psychology involved in all this. So the thing about Trump is he's rattling the cage, he's rattling them all, but there is a big underlying message in it, and I will keep this video short. The big thing is he wants to settle with Putin. He does not want Russia and America and Europe at war. And that makes a lot of sense, because if you look at the map and look at the United States and Canada and come on across the Atlantic, look at Iceland and come on across and come to Ireland, Britain, Europe, and go on then to Poland and go across the border into Belarus and into Russia, we're all the same crowd. We're all Judeo-Christian religion people. We're all the same, or even the same colour. And Russia achieved a lot. Soviet Union, Russia, and all of that. I know not in favour of the communists, but they achieved a lot. They did put people in space. They achieved an awful lot. And they developed great nuclear bombs, if there's such a thing. And they fed their people, and there was no starvation or anything in it. There were problems, all right, with Ukraine, but the thing about it is, so they're only ready to go. The whole thing are only getting ready to go. They have the resources. You could have a tremendous economy, and that economy could be so good that we couldn't replace ourselves up here in Ireland and Britain and America. And then we'd bring in controlled migration of people that appreciated us. We wouldn't bring in people that had no interest or no love of our economy or our history or anything else. We bring in the right type of people. And so he knows that that's where the future is going. So what's the point in Ireland or Britain or the EU fighting Russia? Oh, it invaded Ukraine, so what about it? Wouldn't we be better off if we're all getting along? There was no need for it to invade Ukraine if people had have manners. So there is this preconceived idea in Britain, in Germany, in France, that Russia must be hated. Russia must be hated. Russia must be done down. We must have big expenditure, and them with nothing, and the people with nothing. And they expect to do this after killing their industry with their junk. And Trump sees that. It doesn't take a genius to do it, but Penguin, or whatever you call him there, has to take that into account. He doesn't know what he's doing. He knows that the balance of the world and the way the Europeans look upon the world and look on the Russians is a load of horse manure. The Russians played a big part in pulling Hitler down. It was the British and the Americans and the Europeans that rose Hitler after the First World War with the Versailles Treaty. And then when they had him then, they had to get the Russians to beat Hitler. And once they got them beaten, then I know the Soviet Union went very isolationist, and it went a very, very dictatorship. I mean, it was a cruel place, and there's no doubt about that. But that collapsed in 1991, and then they didn't help them to get up off the ground and get going. And Trump sees it possible to remake that. And I do believe if you took Putin and them right, there would be orders. You have to keep an eye on them, and you could tell them, "Oh, we're not going to let you away with too much." But they would get involved in their resources. They'd help with manufacturing. They'd help with energy and all of that. But you see what was being done with Russian energy into Europe. What has been done? They were using it to fool the people into thinking that windmills and solar power worked, because they had plenty of this power, and then they could put up this other junk like the windmills I'm looking at here and tell us they were doing some good, with the highest electricity prices in the world. And we'll see Malcolm Afford, I'll post underneath here when I get this up. So Trump sees that whole thing is wrong. Now, is he right to be down on China? Well, the Chinese could be dangerous. They are moving into other areas. I mean, the idea of them controlling the Panama Canal now is a bit scary. I'm sure you agree. And so he sees that all right. About him putting the tariffs on, it's a sharp shock and all of these things. And it's different and it's unorthodox. But it's genuine. And he'll not bring back all these industries to America. But he'll shake the thing up a bit, and he will bring back some. And he'll put the place on a better pedestal, because as it was going on with the Democrats, imagine Kamala Harris. That woman didn't know who she was or what she was doing. She knew nothing. And Joe Biden was asleep. I mean, imagine the biggest power in the world run by two dopes. And then Penguin however you call him, has the neck to come along and says Donald Trump doesn't know what he's doing. You can have a debate with him, and we have to change our plans. I often have to change my plans. And sometimes you accidentally leave the gate open and you have to run and close it. So I just make the point, it's steady as she goes. We're not doing too bad. It's going to force a rethink in Europe. And then as Europe finds that it has to continue with this baloney, you see that its people turns against it, and they start voting for Viktor Orban, Fischke in Slovakia, and the alternative for Deutschland and Georgina Meloni. And as they do, the EU and the countries of the EU ban everyone that opposes them. And that's an example of Marine Le Pen. That should be a warning sign. Marine Le Pen, people in prison in England for praying against abortion. Marine Le Pen banned if they can. So we see what's happening. As their whole house of cards falls, they become dictators, like Hitler, just like Hitler. And that's what happened after the First World War. We saw the rise of a dictatorship in Europe that nearly won. And now you see it again. Europe has no democratic principles. In France, if you're charged with a crime, you're presumed guilty. Whereas here in Britain, you're presumed innocent. The state has to prove you did it. In France, you have to prove you didn't do it. That's the law. And the Code de Civil is another type of civil law. So they have no regard for human rights whatsoever. And you will see that's why there's such a rift. Georgina Maloney got in. If it was now, they'd have blocked her. She got in, and they don't like her. So that's the story, folks. I'll let you go in 15 minutes. Hopefully I'll be able to post Lord Malcolm OFFORD, his speech to the House of Lords, which replicates exactly, he must be watching my videos, what I found when I examined the renewable energy thing. We'll see you back for something else. Comment underneath, and yeah, we have some fun with it, Donald. You look at the fun and the entertainment that he's providing, and we're still all here in one piece, and nobody's dead at all, and nobody killed at all, and maybe at the end of the day he'd come to a conclusion with China. But the tariffs he has on China are so great now that it's effectively stopped all trade between the United States and China. And what I'll be looking out for, is there any bargains going? What will China do with some of its stuff? Could be really good bargains. You could see the European market flooded with Chinese goodies. Some of the Chinese stuff isn't too bad. So we'll see you back soon. Bye bye. Bye bye.